I've had several people ask me what exactly I ate to lose more than 70 pounds. The idea being that if they eat like me, then they'd get the same weight loss results. Today, I want to push back against the idea that there's some kind of perfect meal plan or a perfect schedule of eating, or even the idea that one mistake is a reason to give up on your goal, which is actually the negative side of perfection. So let's start with the fact that I didn't know what to eat for health. That was obvious because apparently I was obese, because I was 70, even at some points 80 plus pounds overweight. So what was I eating? I was alternating between low fat and a standard diet. So every once in a while, I would try to do what was told to me that was healthy by going very, very low fat diets, eating, taking all the junk food out and doing all the things. And then doing a standard diet, which is basically standard Canadian, standard American, standard, insert your country here, whatever you normally would eat. Obviously, that means that sometimes I was letting myself eat junk food because, well, first of all, it's normal, right? Everybody eats junk food. But second of all, that's what you do on a standard diet.
My belief about all diets is that, hey, the diet that's best for you is the one that works for you. My neighbor and good friend has been on keto for as long as I've known him. Mm-hmm. It works incredibly well for him. He is incredibly rigorous about it.
That lie that the best diet is the diet that you can stick to had me believing that going back to the standard diet was the normal, natural, of course thing that I'm going to do, right? Because obviously there's no way I could stick to a low fat diet. Now I want to point out, how ridiculous is it that the doctor says that his neighbor is incredibly rigorous about eating keto? Like, does that show a bias against maybe the keto diet? We're going to come back to that point at some after. But I want to start off by talking about how to know that a diet is right for you. So like, how would you actually know that? You have to have certain signs, markers to be able to figure out what's a healthy diet. What's the good diet for me to be doing? Is this the right diet, basically? And the first one is my health should be good. Or if it was bad, it should improve if my diet is healthy, right? So in my case, changing from the standard American diet, low-fat diet, alternating scenarios that I was doing that caused my weight to sometimes go down, but then to rise ridiculously and cause weight gain. So changing from that to a keto diet was what actually allowed me to lose 70 plus pounds. So that's the first thing I want to point out, is that your health should improve. So I lost weight, but also my joint pain went away, but also my medical issues. So like, was there diabetes brewing inside me? I'm pretty sure, because I had insulin resistance, which is now gone. But what other medical issues might someone have, like blood pressure, PCOS, their calcium cardiac score might not be great, fatty liver, basically any of the things that would help us to understand that our health is in a bad place. That should be improved if your diet is good. So any metabolic things, let me correct that. They should improve if your diet is good. Now, some of these are really, really obvious, right? Like, I had weight on me. My weight going down, that was very obvious. If you have skin issues, again, very obvious. But some other things are hidden, right? Like, because they're not typically linked to what you're eating. So a good example of this would be mental health improving. I noticed when I started to eat healthy that I was able to think clearly. I noticed that when I started to eat healthy, my mood stabilized. And not to say that I was depressed, because that wasn't it. But how snappy could I be? How quickly could I get to anger and frustration and annoyance? versus when I started to eat well, how much longer it would take for me to actually get to the point where I was upset. A huge improvement. My memory also improved. So I was able, when I was eating well, to remember things that I remember things better. Now, am I going to say my memory is perfect? No. I have a cell phone. I write things down. I write things in my agenda because I know I forget things. But sometimes I'll write things in my agenda today and not even have to check because I just remembered. Versus in my history, I always had to check. Maybe I check now 30% of the time because I'll be like, I know I had something to do today, and I'll go look and be like, oh yeah, okay, I was supposed to do that. Compared to I had to write everything down. My problem solving has improved. And again, I was really good at problem solving, but I feel like what's different is it's quicker. I feel like what's different is that my ability to think wide is better. So whereas I might know the answer, or there is an answer, and like I think it's in this realm, but I might have had to go back and do a little bit of research to be like, why is that the answer? And kind of remind myself. Versus today, I'll be able to think that that's the answer and quickly get to it and explain why it is much easier. And another thing that I think is I'm doing much better at is having good focus. Again, these are all things that we don't normally attribute to what we've been eating. I'm really confident that the right diet for the world is not the standard American, standard Canadian, standard insert your country here diet, because our globe is increasing in obesity and at an astounding rate, actually. Like in 1975, obesity rates were much lower than in 2016. So between 1975 and 2016, obesity rates tripled. And so that tripling hasn't stopped, or slowed down, right? There's no improvements that we've done since 2016 till today that says that we're moving in the right direction and the world is getting back to its healthy weight. So what is our world going to look like in another 10, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, right? Like the last time I checked, we were approaching like 35% of the world's adults being overweight and obese. That's a scary thing to know. So what are we doing about it? And it doesn't seem like we're doing much. The standard advice is still these food guides that encourage us to eat fruit and grains as a mainstay of our diet. And even the vegetables that we are encouraged to eat, the starchy ones or the sweet ones, not the low glycemic healthy ones. There's a problem with the way that we're eating, right? What is the right diet? All right, let's start with what we know about weight gain. If you overeat anything, any type of food, you're going to gain weight because overeating is overeating. So consistently overeating to the point of feeling full, right? If you're eating and you need to feel full at the end of your meal, there's a problem there. If you're consistently eating when you aren't hungry, there's a problem there because that's a sign that you're overeating. If you're consistently eating junk food, yes, that's a sign that you're overeating. Okay, why am I saying that? Right? What if you're hungry and you eat a little bit of junk food and you don't even feel full? Why is that a sign that you're overeating? Well, because junk food is never necessary to eat. Junk food doesn't give your body anything that's going to help it to grow properly, build properly, be healthy. So you're actually eating something that's not towards your health. So yes, you're overeating because you will eventually need to go eat something healthy at some point if you want to build healthy body, if you want to repair internal damage. These are things that we can see and control, Wellness Warrior, right? We know what we're eating. We know how often we're eating. We know how we feel when we finish eating. So if I stop and try to control these things, if I stop and take a look at them and ask myself, how is this contributing to my health? then I'll start to have a better idea of what a healthy diet should look like. But then there are things that we can't see, like our body needing to remove excess sugar from our blood. We can't see that, right? Our body just does that behind the scenes because that's healthy. Going back to the why it's overeating to eat junk food. When we eat junk food, our body has no choice but to protect us from the mistake we're making of eating this garbage. And so it's going to jump in and it's going to, take some of that sugar out, and it's going to do what with it? It's going to store it away as fat. Excess sugar also does another thing that we don't think about. It causes inflammation. And if we're inflamed, first of all, we don't feel great because that makes us feel like pain. But also, when we're inflamed, we have water retention. And because we have water retention, we will have more weight on our body because we're holding onto water that need not be there. So that's part of the reason that you often see that sometimes when people eat healthy, they're like urinating a lot of water out, right? Inflammation is not healthy for us.
Inflammation in your joints, in your gut, in your brain, everywhere gets better when you eat keto. And so we don't want anything in our diet that's inflammatory in nature. And step 3 is the vegetable oils. And the reason I give air quotes is because there's no vegetables in vegetable oils. That's a nice marketing term that they attach to these oils, but there are no veggies in them whatsoever. They're made of seeds and beans, okay? The worst oil of all, the worst offender, is canola oil. The next worst is corn oil. The next, safflower, sunflower, soybean. Any of these oils are very inflammatory. Their omega-6 to omega-3 ratio is not healthy for human beings. And I don't even want you to give away your canola. If you have canola, if you have Crisco, if you have margarine, if you have I can't believe it's not butter, if you have country crock, don't even give that away. You wouldn't even want to give that to your enemy, okay? Throw that in the garbage. Don't give it to your dog. It's not good for your dog. If you set it out on the porch, it'll sit there for months, and even mold won't eat it.
Inflammation? What did we say 5 seconds ago? Water retention. Water retention, weight gain. So regardless of whether you're inflamed because of carbohydrates or inflamed because of inflammatory oils, inflammation is going to cause you to gain weight. So we grew up on margarine, canola oil, vegetable oil. We didn't know better, but we know today, right? We have doctors like Dr. Barry talking about how bad this stuff is for us and that we need to get it out of our lives. And because we know today, then we should be, first of all, in our own homes, 100% cooking with healthy oils. And now the question is, what are the healthy oils? Because the healthy oils will become part of your healthy meal plan, right? So we have butter and lard, and we have olive oil, which we shouldn't cook with, but we can use it in preparing our salad dressings and etc. But then we have avocado oil that we can cook with if we needed a liquidy oil. And maybe one of the things that we need to start thinking about is how are we spicing things? And so like we the oils that we use, so the spices, and I'm thinking about those like flavored oils that we can buy in the grocery store that are either spicy hot or they're spicy with like delicious flavorings, but not necessarily hot to the mouth. So there's no capsaicin or not much capsaicin in them. But they're usually the base of canola oil or vegetable oil of some, usually it's canola oil because it's so cheap. And almost right, when you think about this, like why are we focused so much on what's cheap? I know that when my parents buy food, right? They had a huge family that they were trying to feed. So yeah, did it make sense that they were trying to be safe? They're trying to be like frugal in what they were doing with the big family? Sure. But today, especially for some of us who our children are out of the house and we don't have the concerns of finance, a lot of people who have zero concerns about finance still cook with canola oil, the cheapest possible oil we can cook with. And the question is why? And I think it's because we are made to believe that this is healthy, right? It's being sold in stores. If what Dr. Berry just said is true, and canola oil is so bad for our health, if these oils won't even be eaten by mold, why are they allowed to be in grocery stores? Why are we even able to buy them? Why are restaurants allowed to buy them to cook our foods in? These are questions I want you to ask. So, getting off topic, we won't be able to be healthy eat a healthy diet until we have the right oils, the right foods in our diet. And that also talks about when we are going out, right, to restaurants. If you don't ask what oils they're using to cook, so are you grilling this or are you frying it, first of all? I would go as far as to ask, when you're prepping that grill, are you spraying canola oil on it? Now, not everybody's going to ask that question, but if you ask that question, what's the answer that you get? Now, they need to do something to prep it, and I get all of that. And yes, would this mean that maybe there's fewer restaurants that you're able to go to? Yes, I get all of that. What is your health worth to you? My health is worth enough that instead of eating out as often as I was eating out, I'm eating at home. My health is worth enough to me that even though I hate cooking, I am cooking. Because if I cook it, I know exactly what's in it. And therefore, my health is saved, right? So if you eat in cheaper restaurants, you can pretty much guarantee that you're getting the cheapest quality oil. If you eat in more expensive restaurants, there's a possibility that they might be using better quality stuff, but I still encourage you to ask the questions. Very recently, we were going to a Greek restaurant, that we were very sure, because we know how the meal is made, that there is zero need for them to put inflammatory oils, right? The meat is cooked on a skewer, and the meat itself will marinate itself, and it's rotisserie cooked. There was zero reason for them to add inflammatory oils. But I asked the question anyways, and guess what I found out? At the very end, before they served me the meal, they were putting lemon oil on it. And what's the base of the lemon oil? Canola. So after doing all the research to find a meal that we could go have out that would have no inflammatory oils in it, inflammatory oils. Now, luckily for us, this was an easy fix. When we order now, we just say, please, no lemon oil. And they don't put any lemon oil. But can you imagine that if we hadn't asked that question, we wouldn't have known? Now, I've seen so many people who plan out their meals for the week or the month when they're trying to lose weight, right? And they're manipulating their fat intake, their carb intake, and protein with the goal of losing weight and building muscle. But it's not in a this is what's healthy for my body way. It's more of if I'm in a cutting phase, I need to get the maximum amount of fat off my body. So I'm going to eat more carb at that point in time and much less fat at that point in time. And we see this kind of conversation when we're talking, we hear those kind of conversations when we're watching videos from bodybuilders and this kind of thing. Right? And as amazing as that all sounds, because you're manipulating carb and fat in the opposite direction of what's healthy for your body, because you're thinking that there's a perfect way of, this perfect food thing that we're going to do that's going to trick my body into being the shape and whatever I want it to be, that we don't really understand that that's still against what might be healthy for my body. And so even though I'm forcing weight loss, I'm not going to achieve good health. And eventually what will happen? Because yes, of course we need to change the food that we're eating to get to good weight, get to good health. But can we force our body to take unhealthy things to make us healthy? That's the big question here. Being healthy is so much more important
than chasing flavors. And, I'm appreciative to Dr. Berg because he helped me to put my mind around eat vegetables, focus on being healthy. And I want to push that forward. There was Dr. Berg, but there was also Dr. Westman, Dr. Sivis, Dr. Barry, Dr. Hyman, Dr. Mason, so many other doctors that I follow that helped us to understand that if you really want to be healthy, the first thing you need to think about is fueling your body, building your body, doing the things to reduce insulin resistance, so hyperinsulinemia, doing the things to get your insulin your body to being sensitive to insulin again. And then you're going to have that healthy life that you're trying to accomplish. I really encourage people to think about mobility. It's not usually something that hits us until we're much older, but then when it hits us, wow, it's so incredibly challenging to be able to go on in life without being able to walk the distance you want to walk or even run at all. Our mobility is everything. When you eat properly, your body does what it's supposed to do, and it gets you back to where you're supposed to be. I'm sitting here at this weight today because I've continued to eat properly. I've continued to follow the principles from all the doctors that I learned from. I've continued because feeling good and living a healthy, happy life matters to me. Taking your total grams of carbohydrates down to 20, I'm not going to say it's easy because it isn't, because you actually have to do a little bit of research to figure out how to do that. What vegetables can I actually eat? What foods, how am I going to spice these foods? But once you do it and you find a way to eat these foods that taste good to you, the benefits of eating this way, of feeling the energy that you get from eating good quality food, the ability to build muscle again and be strong is worth so much.
By eating healthy consistently, my body healed. First my hip, right? And then the rest of my joints, right? The next thing that happened was that I gained some energy. I was able to do more activities and I felt great. And then I actually lost weight. And that wasn't part of the plan even when I was doing this. It was all about saving my hip and being able to do my activities, which, by the way, I don't do enough activities to account for the weight loss because maybe I do one thing per week. I was doing activities because I wanted my daughter and I to have fun together. That was the goal. And after I lost the weight and I felt better about how things were going, I kept eating this way because I lost weight. I lost the pain that I was living. I was feeling amazing. And heaven only knows what other problems my body solved because I started to eat properly and I regulated my internals, right? By giving my body the right building blocks and the clean energy that allowed it to stop storing fat away on my body unnecessarily, stop creating ridiculous amounts of inflammation. By consistently eating properly, I allowed my body to heal. What I find frustrating, Wellness Warrior, is when doctors like Dr. Carol talk about how strict you have to be to adhere to keto. If I was a vegetarian and I said that I don't ever eat meat, would that me being strict about being or would that just me being a vegetarian? But somehow if I say I eat less than 20 grams of carbs daily, because that's what my keto diet says, that's me being strict. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. That's not true at all. Right? That's me being consistent, Wellness Warrior. They try to say that what we are doing is so far outside the realm, but yet people who don't eat meat are not far outside the realm. I'm sorry, both of us are being consistent. Now, I found that consistently eating 20 grams of carbs or less helped me to be healthy. I found that most people who eat less than the standard American diet, standard Canadian diet amount of carbohydrate, when you pull that back to the low carb world, most people get healthier. And they're going to say, well, of course, because you changed your diet. It doesn't explain how we are unable in that standard American diet world, when we do low fat, to maintain it. But when we do healthy eating, so healthy eating, getting rid of the thing that's causing the problem, the sugar, that we're able to maintain it. Today's video is brought to you by my keto consultations. You know how to do keto, but you're having trouble just sticking with it? Book a consultation with me and we're going to get you back on track. The link is in the description. Right? Because when you eat healthy foods that fall in line with your diet, it's easier to stick to your diet because the food is healthy, and when you eat it, you feel better. The food is healthy, and when you eat it, your body gets healthier, and your body doesn't push you to get garbage because your addiction gets solved. That's the other thing I didn't even think about mentioning today, but it just came to me now, of why was I not chasing? Because I wasn't getting that dopamine hit from eating too much sugar that was causing me to chase. When you eat healthy, it's very, very normal that you get the benefits of the healthy diet that you're eating. And one of the benefits of the healthy diet that you're eating is to not be addicted to the food that you're eating, but to be satiated by the food you're eating. So when I eat, I do not overeat because I'm satiated by the food I'm eating. And then I don't chase the food because I don't have an addictive reaction to the food I'm eating. So when I'm hungry, I eat. But when I'm not hungry, I don't eat. And Wellness Warrior, I want you to think about it. How many times have you not been hungry but felt like you needed a little something? Because when I was doing standard diet, that happened to me all the time. It is very normal that if you're eating a healthy diet, you get the benefits of that healthy diet. And you don't have to rigorously adhere to it. You just adhere to it because it's what you're doing. It feels natural, it feels good, and you do it. So if you'd like to eat keto consistently, what do you actually need to do, right? Because I do believe that a keto diet, a carnivore diet, even a low carb diet, that's the healthy way for the world to be eating. I do not agree that our world should be doing standard Canadian, standard American, high carb, high fat. That is unhealthy. But if you'd like to be consistent, what do you need to do? Part 1, find recipes for the dishes that you will be eating that are healthy. That means you need to first choose some vegetables that are healthy and then find ways to cook them that you actually like. If you like the food that you're eating, so the vegetables that you're eating, you'll eat them. That's what I did. Step 1 for me was find those vegetables. So I knew I liked cabbage. I knew I liked broccoli. I knew I liked cauliflower. Well, that's not true. I didn't like cauliflower at the time, but I knew I could eat it. And then I experimented with a bunch of other vegetables. Leafy vegetables, and just zucchini. I'd never tasted a zucchini before. I said, let me try zucchini. I tried a bunch of things. Why? To see, what am I going to actually like? And what I figured out, no matter what the vegetable that I chose, if I spiced it the right way, it tasted good. And that's what I did. And for the longest time, I ate 20 grams of carbohydrates worth of spiced vegetables. Now, even if I would give you a day-by-day walkthrough of what exactly I ate, so which vegetables I ate on which days, and it doesn't mean that you're going to want to eat what I ate. It doesn't mean that you're going to like the spices that I put. Pat loves steak, and he loves seafood. I hate them, right? So are you really going to love the veg that I was eating just because I loved it? Maybe you might, maybe you might not. But I'm going to put it to you. Today, would you be happy only ever eating avocados and olives like 95% of the time? I can't say only ever, but 95% of the time? Because that's what I do. it's not about what I eat. It's about what would make you happy on your plate that's healthy. That's healthy. I want you to find vegetables and then find ways of cooking those vegetables that taste great to you. I want you to find the meats that you love that taste good to you. I don't eat steak. I don't like it. Why would I eat it? Now, there's lots of arguments for eating it because the ways that the cows has, the ruminants eat things and how they process our vegetables for us to be able to get the nutrients. There's lots of reasons people will give you for eating it. I don't eat them. I don't like it. So you need to figure out what veg you're going to eat. Maybe there'll be 10. Maybe there'll be 2, like me. But I want to point out that the standard American diet was the diet that I was happy to eat. The standard American diet allowed me to have fries 7 days on 10, right? So, or 7 days on 7, right? I could have 7 days, right? I could have fries all the time. The standard American diet that we were all happy to eat was not the diet that was the healthiest for us. This is about making choices that allow us to enjoy eating keto, because if we enjoy eating keto, we can heal our bodies and then we can enjoy our life in our healthy bodies. This isn't about the diet that's easy to eat, the diet that you eat because it's everybody else is eating. It's about eating the healthy diet, learning to like eating the healthy diet, and then getting the benefit of having lived and eaten that healthy diet so that you can live the life you want to live in the body that feels amazing to you. So if you're curious about the health improvements that I made and my weight loss journey, you can check out the video that I've linked in the description.